Hello everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Valmore. So I was finally in a place to get a new microphone. So there may be some growing pains while I figure out how good it sounds, but on to today's dish. Today's recipe is going to be the penultimate Elven recipe from heroesfeast. And it is a small hand pie filled with roasted vegetables. This is Elven Marruth. Let's get started. So I'm going to be making a pie crust that I've already made twice before. So I'm going to start with some flour, salt. Next I'm going to put in the shortening. And then a cold butter. So now I'm going to add some ice water a little bit at a time and stir it in. And now I'm going to knead it together into a ball. Now I'm going to cut the dough ball in half. Then I'm going to wrap them in plastic wrap and put them in the fridge for at least 2 or 3 hours, but ideally overnight. So for this recipe, I'm going to chop up some cabbage, potato, onion, carrots, thyme, and dill. Now I'm going to put all the vegetables in a bowl. Now I'm going to add in some olive oil. Now I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Now I'm going to pour it out onto the baking sheet. And let's go in the oven for about 30 minutes. And now that that's roasted up, I am going to add in some thyme. Now after letting that cool, I'm going to return it to the bowl, add the dill, a little more salt, and some pepper. Now I'm going to roll out my pie dough. Now I'm going to sprinkle some fresh thyme leaves into the dough. Now I'm going to cut out some little rounds. And now on the side that I didn't put thyme in, I'm going to scoop in some of the filling. Now I'm going to fold it over. And I'm going to crimp it down. So these turned out rough. I didn't have a very large pastry cutter, and even trying to put in a reduced filling, everything was a little rough. That being said, I'm going to still put them in the oven and see how they taste. And maybe the other piece of dough will be better. So with the second piece of pie dough, what I did instead was I just cut it into quarters and then rolled it out into circles and filled that. They turned out much nicer. Now I'm going to finish them with some egg wash. And they're going to go into the oven for about 25-30 minutes. Even through the blunders I made with my pie crust and the filling, this still turned out to be delicious. The roasted veggies inside were soft and flavorful, and a little bit of sweetness from the carrots and then the cabbage. It was really good. And again, this wonderful pie crust. It was flaky, it was buttery. There's a reason I keep going back to it. I will leave a link to the recipe in the description of the video. But there were a few things I would have changed with it. I think the whole thing would have been better if after roasting the vegetables, maybe giving them a bit of a mash, break up the potatoes a bit, because even with the larger pies that I made with the second dough, the potatoes were making folding the whole thing frustrating. They kept poking through, they didn't want to seal everything right. If everything had been smashed a little bit more and mixed together, I think it wouldn't have changed any of the flavor, but I think it would have really helped the texture. I also think that there could have been a gravy or a sauce. It was a little dry, but then again, a sauce or something inside probably would have screwed with the structural integrity. I hope you enjoyed. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at chef_Valmore. I will have the links in the description. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and come on back next week for another recipe.